let's talk about community building. I know it's like such a sexy topic right now, but we've just been discussing this for a long time, and especially when it comes to OK Sis, growing podcast community, we kind of like fell into it and then learned a lot about what it takes to actually build engaged and authentic communities. And I know it's such a buzzword, but I really think it's so important, especially if you're building a company, especially if you're trying to if you're trying to be an influencer, if you're trying to rally an audience to care about what you say and also exchange value, you have to care about building community. So if someone's listening and they're working on leading a community of their own or expanding a community, what do you find entices people to join your mission and like the crusade that you're leading? Because not only with Diem, like from the user perspective, but the expert perspective. Because for Camber specifically, I'm just selfishly, asking all my questions. We're, going to be trying to get creators on the platform to put, their places and hopefully monetize those recs and those lists, and to find those people and, convince them to join this community. Like what are some things you found that have worked in terms of enticing people, both the users and also like the experts that you bring on into the sessions?
Yeah, I think a really crystal mission it answers both of those. So it's obviously harder building. I think yours is like mission driven too, but like if you're building a community that doesn't really have a purpose, I ask the question, why are you building the community in the first place? So every community you build, like, yes, lots of brands are getting into the space and building communities and things like that. But even if you think about the purpose of the brand's community, ultimately the brand is doing it to drive revenue. But what they might miss in thinking about it is like, is there an opportunity to create a really incredible community that is like tangential to our end goal? So if you are, I don't know, I used to work for Away, so I used to work for a travel brand. And if you're building a travel community, do they really need to be talking about your product? Like, the purpose of your community should be for people to maybe connect over destinations that they have been to, or perhaps they all live in the same city and they're all wanting to, maybe they've all traveled to the same place. Like, there's so many connection points and common interest points in humans. And it's like, when you're thinking about a community, it's like, what are the common interest points of our customers? And how can we perhaps best play a role in connecting them to each other? Because the benefits long-term of a community are not really revenue. Like, these are people already bought into your product, like they're going to continue buying your product and promoting you and all of this sort of stuff, but it's the association that they have with your brand that is so valuable, like retention and loyalty and all of this stuff. Like, the reason community became a buzzword last year was because of the pandemic, and no one that had a loyal community, anyone that did not have a loyal community was like, oh God, like, what do we do now? And there's just so many other benefits outside of metrics that communities can bring. And a lot of it then translates into retention and loyalty. I think the biggest thing that I find annoying in terms of community success metrics is you're just like, because of how we've existed in social platforms, the metrics that we look to measure communities against are highly flawed. Like, even they'll be like, how many people are talking or sending messages in your Slack group, or how many people are doing this, how many people are doing that. At the core of it, a community is people choosing to identify with a purpose or a common interest or an experience, and they're choosing to show up. They don't show up every single day. Like, who has time to show up every single day in a community? It's very rare. Think of even your friendship groups in that scenario. Like, do you talk to your friends every day? No, like, I don't. I love them. I'll talk to them when I need to, and like when they want to talk to me, but it's just like weird. It's like we've placed these strange metrics that are solely created for ad revenue models, and now we're trying to put them onto communities, and like measuring the success of a community and it's just highly flawed. So I think there's like multiple things. I don't know if specific questions coming off of that, but those are all of my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, we spoke with Kim Johnson, who heads community at Geneva, and which is like super meta. It's like a community. She runs community at a community app, and
yeah,
she was very similar. You know, we asked, or I feel like everyone asked, like, what are the metrics? Like, how do I, you know, calculate exactly how engaged my community is? Whereas, hey, let's, you know, this is the first business facet that like really does not have
metrics,
hard, data to track it, which throws people off, right? I think people who are business minded and oriented, that's where they first go to, because how do you measure success? And I really agree that it's about the exchange of meaning. It's literally what you have captivated or have captivated in Diem, this exchange of like really meaningful connections of specific topics or information, and like that is success. Like, and that's weird for people to even come to terms with from a business perspective.